This might come across as really specific. It's not intended to be that. It's actually really, really general. Let's try to avoid diva wide receivers. Good afternoon to you. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is the new Double Shot Show. Deebo Samuel became the latest in a seemingly endless line of wide receivers who feel that they are owed more than what they receive from their respective teams. Samuel, for the second time in 3 years this week, told the 49ers that he wants out. Only this time, John Lynch apparently has had enough and said, you can go. We've seen enough ourselves. Now, probably makes things a lot easier for San Francisco management that Samuel is 29 years old. He's coming off his worst season, barely got anything going, then publicly complained with multiple exclamation points following multiple all-cap sentences that he wasn't getting the ball enough. That issue, why wide receivers become divas, is a really broad subject because there's absolutely something there to their behavior that's not about to go away. That's the culture. That's not the culture in Pittsburgh's wide receivers room. That's the culture across all 32. That doesn't mean that all of the individual players are like that, but it does mean that thing permeates who these guys are, what they think they are, and how much they mean, how they carry themselves, at least up until they turn 30. I've noticed this too. Let me go on a little bit of a side rant here, because you'll see as soon as they become 30, as soon as they're back to doing special teams, then all of a sudden it's like, they're all nominated for the Chief Award. The one who's great off the field with the media and all that stuff. All of a sudden they're the leaders of the pack. What a thing. What a thing. But I digress. If I'm the Steelers, I'm not looking at Samuel. I know what he did. I know what he's capable of doing. I know that he can even do it out of the running back position. So you could, who knows, kill multiple birds with that stone. You could have a whole bunch of dynamic weapons emerge from a single player. I would just rather focus on finding players at this position who are younger. And by that, I mean right out of the draft. Take this from somebody who covered Deontay Johnson as an absolute angel, the most modest, humble guy you could ever hope to meet. Coming out of Toledo, he's a MAC guy. He was, undervaluated, and he actually was. And, he was humbled that the late Daryl Drake, the wide receivers coach, believed in him so much that he went to bat for him. And then, the same thing happened to him that happens to everybody else. I covered Antonio Brown as a kid. AB, you wouldn't have recognized him at all, what he was when he first arrived. Similar situation, Central Michigan, small school. Nobody believes. 6th round. Who the heck was he? And then, look at what happened. Well, okay. If it's all right in the football community to say we only value young running backs because of wear and tear, we only value them at a certain age, after which, the wheels come off or we've driven them off, whatever it is. Why not take a similar approach as it relates to this position? Why not just say, you know what? Unless a wide receiver comes in and shows themselves to be a model citizen, or at the very least conduct themselves in a professional manner, we're not ever going to do a second contract for a wide receiver. We're out of the wide receiver second contract business. We will draft you. We will throw you the football. And when your contract is up, you go right ahead on to wherever it is that you're going to go and take your diva-ness with you. Now, the Steelers aren't about to single-handedly change the entire industry's problem, but at least it doesn't have to be their problem. You can get wide receivers in anywhere in the first 3, even 4 rounds in a given draft. That's how many of them there are right now coming out of the college ranks. So just do that. Take a round, pick a round, and say this is the. Or no, even if we don't need a wide receiver, we're just gonna grab another one and see what happens. We were able to get outstanding wide receivers in, beyond the top 2 rounds. Antoine Randall, Martavis Bryant. The list is actually pretty long. Emmanuel Sanders. And we're just going to keep doing that. We're just going to keep churning along the room that way. When we come back, I'm going to be joined by Chris Halleck.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Joined now by Chris Halleck. Let's talk a little bit about, I think it's fair to call him our guy, Dante Jackson. That's a pretty good dude.
He got my vote for the Chief Award, by the way. He didn't win it, but he got my vote.
He was there. He was accessible. He was accountable. I always respect that. He also looks like and sounds like, just peripherally hearing everything from within there, like he's not going to be back. He's going to be a free agent. And I'm not sure why. I mean, I know there's the back issue, okay, and I know that that's real, and I know that back issues don't easily, go away or just vanish. He fought through it this year. He played through some significant discomfort. He played games that he shouldn't have played, and he went out there and gave it. And sometimes he'd be gone in the third quarter, and then he'd be back in the fourth.
Yeah.
What exactly is your sense for where the Steelers, their feeling about bringing him back?
I don't think the door is completely closed on that just yet. I do think that they liked him, and I know Dante Jackson liked playing with the Steelers too. So I wouldn't exactly close the door on that. However, I do think that not just Dante Jackson, but the cornerback position is a little further down the priority list. It's a priority, but it's not, quarterback or, some of the other very, very important positions that they have to figure out. Running back, for example, like right now, Cordero Patterson's their only running back under contract, and that's not a good plan right now.
No.
So Dante Jackson, I do think, listen, I think he did well for what the Steelers were wanting to do. They wanted Joey Porter to be their main lockdown guy. Dante Jackson is a good zone coverage corner, not a great man coverage corner, and it really showed whenever he did have to play man.
It showed on both sides. I hate to say that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's one of the reasons why you saw the Steelers not run as much man coverage as they had in the last couple of years, because it's not like you can, yes, you can do like half field coverages and everything like that, but it's not something you do all the time, in which, Joey Porter is going to be man over here and Dante Jackson is going to have zone over there. You just can't do that all the time. So
yeah, I know.
For me, I wonder about the schematic fit.
Yeah. I would think that between the back and the schematics, that would be the thing that would undo this. We did see, to get more specific with your point, later in the season, the Steelers just said, that's it. We're just going to go man on this. And it just did not go well at all. Yeah. Dante has stats that could be misleading.
Yeah.
Because he had the 5 picks. Those are to his credit. I'm not taking that away.
100%.
All right. Especially when you're dealing with a defense and a secondary that just focuses so hard on taking away the football. The Steelers do not see takeaways as happenstance. Okay. Or as Alex Highsmith says, those aren't lightning strikes for us.
Right.
Okay. But at the same time, Beanie had some picks. Dante had some picks. Minka had just the one.
Yeah.
And that script could go like this because of the way the football flies. It's out of your control. The biggest concern that I had, well, the biggest one is the health. The second one is what you mentioned about the man coverage. I feel like the Steelers, the way they're structured, need to have people that they can treat on both sides the way they try to treat Joey on his side. And they want Joey to be better too. They want you to just erase somebody. Just take somebody away. Just do that.
Yeah, and I think with the way the Steelers want to play defense, they want to, it's not that they don't want to ever blitz, but they want the blitz number to be lower. They want to win up front with just 4 guys, the way the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. That's the way that they want to win. That's the way they want to play defense. But in order to do that, you got to have a good secondary. And guess what? The Eagles have a really good secondary. Yeah. And they built, 2 of their 3 starting cornerbacks were rookies this past year. It's not like that they have a whole bunch of experienced vets.
Yeah, and one of them is out of this world.
Right. And so, like, Joey Porter Jr. can grow into a very, very good top 10, top 15 cornerback in this league. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, he can.
So you got to get another guy. Now, the great thing is the Steelers have a lot of flexibility for how you do that. It's not the best draft class for cornerbacks, but it's a pretty good one. You can get some really good. There was this one kid out of Florida State. His name is escaping me right now, but I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's only 20 years old and already looks like a guy who is absolutely at the bare minimum not going to ever be beaten because that receiver on the other side has a higher motor than him. And that you can mold and you can shape with a guy like Grady Brown, who's a very, very good, respected secondary coach in this league.
I hope it's not Azariah Thomas.
Yes. Yeah.
Did I get that one right?
No, I think it's Azariah or something. I can't remember.
Okay. It's a mouthful.
It is. But he looked really impressive. Now, he's not the only guy. That's one guy that sticks out to me. But the Steelers also have a lot of cap space too. And there are some pretty good cornerbacks in this free agent class that they could be like, you know what? Screw this. We're going to make sure the back end is taken away. We're going to throw some money at, I don't know, DJ Reed or somebody like that they can just get to go opposite Joey and be like, we're going to make sure the back end's taken care of so that our front four can finish up front a lot, more often.
Yeah, the secondary, you don't want to miss out on that. You also might need a nickel corner, depending on how it is that the Steelers genuinely feel about Beanie Bishop. I feel like your actions always speak louder than your words, and the trusting of Cam Sutton, even when Sutton was clearly identified as a problem, including parenthetically by his own teammates, like. You would think that tells you a lot about how they feel about Beanie, but then Beanie just was making plays, and there's something to be said for that. You don't have to win every coverage, and maybe you and I are both a little bit guilty of that, even just within this small segment of saying, well, 5 interceptions, you can get that from somebody else. Probably not, meaning where Dante is concerned or Beanie's interceptions.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was the same thing with I think it was Keenan Lewis. Like Keenan Lewis, I think in 2022, he was up there with like one of the team's most leading guys with interceptions. And so there are guys who can they're just where the ball is. Now that's a great place to be. You want to be where the ball is. You want to see. That's why you don't want to see Minkah Fitzpatrick 25 yards off the line of scrimmage before the ball is even snapped.
Another day.
Yeah. But it does matter if that guy's always around the ball and can make a play on it and has the ball skills in order to make that play. At the same time, it's not just about the takeaways. It's not just about the splash. It's about the ability to win your rep, win your coverage on a more frequent basis so that, again, down in, down out, your front four up front have a better chance to get to the quarterback, and you have a better chance on the back end of being able to make that splash because, again, when the entire defense works and it works all together, as Cam Hayward and all of them were saying, when all 11 guys are doing their job, it makes everybody's job a lot easier. And when you have better players at every position, it's a lot easier for those guys to do their job because they're just good players.
When we come back, J1Q.
Safety is a habit, Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Time now for today's J1Q, and for that we head out to Chocolate Town.
Hey DK, Marshall from Hershey here, big fan. My question is, why don't the Steelers put more of an emphasis on hiring ex-players? Why doesn't Hines Ward have a job? Why don't Ryan Clark or Troy Polamalu have jobs within the organization? The Steelers culture, they make such an emphasis about the culture, and yet we don't bring these guys back to teach the future generations. Thanks, DK.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. I appreciate anytime anybody suggests that the Steelers bring back former players, especially great former players, to be head coaches. I got probably 3 different ways that I could address this subject that you brought up. One is that not all good, very good, or even great, truly great players make for great coaches. It's not the same skill set. It's not the same drive. There's a lot of grunt work that's involved. There's ridiculous hours. It's not the same thing. The people who are great coaches are motivated by having wanted to be great coaches for a long time. And there's a lot more to it. 2 is that Mike Tomlin does bring these players back, to borrow from your terminology there. They're in Latrobe. They're out there with the team. They're out there on the field, and they're in roles that are probably more comfortable for them. They're not having to sit countless hours in the classroom or film room. They're just told, come out to Chuck Noll Field and go hang with the inside linebackers, or as Ryan Shazier was doing. Ryan Clark is somebody you mentioned. Clark obviously, has work, at full-time employment, in terms of broadcasting, but he came back in Latrobe. Debo was there. So you have them back. You have them in the environment. It's mostly in that kind of setting. The third one is the one that nobody talks about. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's a reason that nobody talks about it, because it's not one that anybody would boast about, but I have a feeling that it's the most prominent one. Every once in a while, someone will say, why doesn't Ben Roethlisberger just come back and be the coordinator, or at least the quarterback's coach? I mean, he's right here in town. He's theoretically not doing anything. Why not just have Ben be at the facility? He seems to still be really interested in the Steelers, judging by the terrific show that he does. Why not just have Ben? The answer, whether it's regarding Ben or anybody else, is that he made $250 million. That's billion with a B in his NFL career, just in salary. That's not counting endorsements and anything else. Okay, $250 million. The average NFL hockey season, the average NFL positional coach makes somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000. Now, that's not a bad living, okay? But it's not that. It's not going to be enough to move the needle for any of those guys who made that kind of money. Because if they're smart, or they have good agents, or even just a smart family member, they know how to manage their money, and they can make their NFL earnings work not only for themselves for the rest of their lives, but also for their next of kin and who knows who else they want to distribute their money to. So never, ever, ever, ever underestimate money as a factor is what I'm saying. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody checking out the new Double Shot Show. We'll have one more this week. That's tomorrow. See you then. You know what?